Welcome back to the Rhonda Swan Show. Season 4 has been kicking down the door with people that, I don't know why I said that, but I just think it was quite funny. And I made myself laugh. So I'm going to keep this in because I've been loving so much about the people that we've been bringing forward because they've been completely falling in love with their impact, like really diving into what makes them tick, but more importantly, using their experiences or things that have happened to them in their life and turned it into their greatest blessing. And this is what gets me so excited about introducing and interviewing so many of my guests here on season 4 this year. So my next guest, you're gonna love this lady. She is not only full of piss and vinegar, as they say, but she's also resilient. Her name is Blair Kaplan Venables. She's an expert in social media marketing and the president of Blair Kaplan Communications, a British Columbia-based PR agency. She brings 15 years of experience to her clients, which includes global wellness, entertainment, and lifestyle brands. As a pioneer in the industry, she has helped her customers grow their following into the tens of thousands in just 1 month and win integrative marketing awards, launch their businesses, and more. I love this woman so much. If you haven't watched her social media, you need to go there right now because she's gonna crack you up. Like, she's so incredible, but she's totally in love with her work. So Blair Kaplan Venables, welcome to the show. Again.
Thank you for having me. Oh my gosh. What I love about that intro is that how you said I'm full of piss and vinegar because, okay, so I'm writing a book, but I wrote a book. I wrote a book so I could learn how to write a book. And in that book, Pulsing Through My Veins Are Unreal Stories from an Entrepreneur, I talk about my namesake. And so I'm Jewish. And in Judaism, it's a tradition to name yourself, not name yourself, you don't name yourself. It's a tradition to name your children after a deceased family member. And I'm named after my great Baba Bella. My Hebrew name is Bela Dina. I'm named after Baba Bella. And Baba Bella had a dress shop and she was the breadwinner. And it's funny because when I asked my grandma to tell me about her mom, she's like, you're just like her. She's full of piss and vinegar.
Really? See, I just came through. I'm like, why would I say that? Your Baba Bella was coming through. I love it. Blair, it's so great to have you here. I mean, you and I had the conversation when we were on the summit. Now you're going to be an author of the upcoming book, and your book actually just launched. And I want to talk about this because I love the story behind I Am Resilient Project and what resilience really means to you. So let's start there. Like, why did the book start? And where are you looking to take it from here?
Yeah, so the I Am Resilient Project started because at the end of 2018, I learned my father was terminally ill. And the backstory between me and my dad is that we've had a very bumpy relationship. He lives with addiction. As a little girl, he was in and out of my life. It was really confusing for me and I didn't fully understand it. So I had a lot of anger and resentment towards him. But in my 20s, I went to the Landmark Forum. It was given to me by my employer at the time, Lululemon. And I didn't go for any other reason other than it was a free trip to Vancouver. But the Landmark Forum gave me the tools I needed to forgive my dad, which was amazing because I didn't go there for that. And so in my early 20s, I got to restart a relationship with my father and I learned to accept him for who he is. And I didn't think he'd walk me down the aisle or come visit me a whole bunch in Vancouver because he lives in Winnipeg, fully Canadian here. And at the end of 2018, I learned he was terminally ill and I felt robbed about it. And we never really publicly shared our story, but I couldn't hold it in anymore. And so I started talking about our story of addiction and forgiveness and resilience and our journey as father-daughter. And what was happening was that our story was helping people. So I would tell my story to a friend and I'd get a message like the next day, Blair, your story inspired me. I'm going to a therapist. I want to fix things with my mom. Blair, I heard your story and I want to fix things with my dad. So I flew across the country. I heard something you said and I'm a social worker and I used it with one of my students whose dad lives with addiction. And I said, hey, Dad, why don't we I didn't say this exact, but I had the idea of turning our pain into purpose.
Yeah.
Turning pain into purpose. And that wording just came to me recently. But I said, let's tell our story. Let's create a book. Let's create a legacy piece and gather stories of resilience and publish a book. He's like, yeah, okay. And so then I was like, I guess I need a website. So I built a website. I guess I need social media. So I built social media because that's my jam, social media. And I started collecting stories. And then I realized, oh, shoot, I don't know how to write a book. So I took a book writing workshop. So I wrote a book so I could learn how to write a book. And long story short, it's been a very aggressive few years in my personal life. And so this project kept getting pushed back. But launching it on the 17th of January was so important to me because as I've been preparing for the death of my father, and he's still with us, he's on a very slow decline. He's living in the hospital. Like, you know, he's on borrowed time. None of us can still believe he's with us. I had a sudden loss of my mother. You know, she was 62, learned she had cancer. 3 weeks later, she left us. And so we decided, my sister and I, because she's part of the project, which is great because she's a social worker. So she brings a really interesting and educated perspective to our project. We decided to dedicate the book to our mother and to launch it on her birthday in her honor.
Yeah, you know, you really touched my heart emotionally because obviously the word resilience, it's as if you've been given some of these challenges so that you can really show and be the example to others of how they handle situations and deaths in the family. I mean, you've had a really strong road down this resilience path. Why do you think that is? Have you made any of those, have you asked those questions? Like, how is it impacting you now, right? Like, what is it? Because these are I think, those depth of questions that you ask. And have there been any answers that have come forward for you?
I mean, so going into 2019, learning about my dad's illness, I set a word, I pick a word every year or a couple words. And going into 2019, I chose the word resilient. And I'm not going to say that was a mistake, but during that year, you know, I lost my grandfather. I had a brain injury because I was in a car accident. My husband almost died. He had quadruple bypass surgery. Like, I had a severe burn. I had to leave a client at the beginning of the pandemic who was a really good paying client because of anti-Semitism. So I really do believe our words have meaning and our words have power. And I wasn't clear on the intention of the word. Now, that's not why things were happening to me. I believe our souls choose our bodies and our lives, you know, for whatever purpose. And I'm on this discovery mission right now. I'm doing a lot of healing and learning and asking these questions. So I'm just at the beginning of that journey. Like, I'm at the beginning of a spiritual awakening, Rhonda. Like, the craziest stuff has been happening to me. And so I'm not sure I'll ever have one solid answer, but answers do drop in. And I really feel like I was put on this earth in this body at this time to be of service to people, to empower people and to help people move through their challenges. And like, I really strongly believe like that's why I'm here right now with you and on this planet and doing what I'm doing, because yeah, I'm also a social media marketing expert and that's really great, but there's so many other layers to it. And why would I go through all of these challenges, all of this pain if I don't have a purpose behind it? And for me, sharing my story and empowering you empowers me. It helps me heal.
Yeah, wow, I love this. I mean, this is the kind of conversation though that most don't have, right? They're like, oh, poor me, or my gosh, why? Instead of really looking at it and reframing, okay, this is actually an opportunity for me to be present, to be more resilient, or to also guide others along their path. I mean, do you feel that, you know, you have been chosen to do this kind of work? You know, because like your social media work is what you do, but do you feel that this I'm Resilient project is guiding you maybe into even another level and layer of what you are to do in this planet?
Yeah, I would like to, if you're watching this and you've known me for a long time, like childhood friends would tell you, like, I've always been extremely creative and an out-of-box thinker. I am a manifestor generator, you know, I'm a Leo. I'm very much like, I'm driven by my gut and my instinct. And I have a lot of ideas that aren't normal and aren't typical. And when I started my PR company, I predominantly did social media, but social media marketing wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're a geriatric millennial. Well, they never said that, but they're like, oh, you must know social media. It's because I was a geriatric millennial, but at the time, just a millennial. And I said, yes. And I figured it out because I applied traditional PR principles to social media. And I became an avant-garde, a pioneer, an innovator in the social media space. And that was over 13 years ago, like 14 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's great. And social media, like, yes, mentoring, I do private mentoring and group mentoring, and I do a lot of guest speaking and workshops. That is great, and I do really love it, but it's not fully who I am. It is a part of who I am.
Yeah.
And I've also always been that extroverted extrovert, telling my story with a lot of empathy and wanting to be there for other people and help other people. I've always been a helper. And maybe it's because as a little kid, like, my parents divorced when I was 7, and I had to grow up really fast. And, I have a younger sister, and, I didn't have a typical childhood. Like, I did a lot of things that other children did, but I was one of the only kids I knew with divorced parents, and, like, in the background, my dad lived with addiction. So there was, some trauma going on.
Yeah.
And I think if I can take my trauma and my experience and the lessons I've learned, which I always believe a lesson is learned in hindsight, if I can empower you guys out there watching this, or you in the future who read my book or my chapter or listen to my podcast, I know that it was purposeful. Everything I've done and everything I've been through is to help you.
Yeah, wow, strong. Like, well done, right? Because that's the resilience that's coming out of you, because you're not ignoring it. You're not ignoring the emotions, you're taking it and bringing it forward and bringing it with you. So then how does that then flow into your business? I mean, you are doing so much with social media, but now with Resilience Project, like, how is that now actually weaving within your business, and how you're allowing that to weave into your clients as well? Because I think this is where people, they start to lean back and go, oh, none of that stuff has happened to me, or, oh, she doesn't even understand my life, right? And people are afraid of that. So how then are you using what you've learned with resilience and bringing it into the business?
So I think the first thing we should really do is define resilience. I was working with some healing guides who I love. I'm on this, like, healing journey where traditional therapy, I kind of plateaued. Like, I love therapy, I'm all for it, but, like, I was seeing grief counselors and therapists. Yeah. And so I went down an alternative route, and I'm on this really cool journey. And I had this epiphany, and it was the summer, and I was like, I was defining resilience wrong. So I came up with my own definition. And so let's talk about that first. Resilience is the ability to bounce forward. I used to call it bouncing back, but what are you bouncing back to? Yeah. You're never going to be the same after you go through something. You're never going to be the same. You're bouncing forward. You're moving forward as a new version of yourself. Okay. So high level resilience is the ability to bounce forward after a difficult time or after a challenge. Now, there's a couple ways that this impacts my business. One, first of all, I always believe in giving back. When I was 12 years old, I had a bat mitzvah. I started volunteering at the seniors home. I've always given back. I volunteered with Ovarian Cancer Canada, and I helped bring a refugee family to Canada in Pemberton. And this project is how I'm giving back. I always believe in giving pro bono hours, and this is how I'm giving back right now. So that's just part of my ethos. I always believe in giving. Giving is so important. Two, people can see what I'm capable of. Well, Blair, you built all this? That came from your brain?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, it did. Can you do that for me? I'm like, I can coach you. I can mentor you on how to do it. And I do a lot of mentorship with entrepreneurs who don't know how to take their ideas and make it happen. And I've been doing that for a while. When I was 23, I also started a coupon company. I wanted free yoga. I couldn't find a way to do it. So I started a health and wellness coupon company. And, like, it ended up being a really big project. And my advice to you is don't start a coupon company, just pay for yoga. But, like, that's how a lot of people got to know me.
Yeah.
And and so, having this community, people are able to see inside my life and also see what I'm capable of. And for me, I see the I'm Resilient Project as one of my products. Like, I'm a public speaker and I speak on social media, but I speak about resilience. And you need resilience in business. You need resilience in everything you do. And I didn't even realize that. And, from the moment you start, doing certain things, you're strengthening your resilience muscle. And because I've been consciously strengthening my resilience muscle every single day, now when I'm faced with a challenge in life or business, I'm able to navigate it with, like, more grace, or maybe move through it a bit faster. And really look at that situation and see why it was presented to me and how it is going to elevate me moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the 101 of how to actually like handle and elevate your stamina or your resilience. And because this is the thing when it comes to like entrepreneurialism, right, is it seems so scary for everyone. And to be honest, everyone like might look and say, oh, you've done all this, Blair. Look how successful you've been. But I guarantee there's been a lot of challenges and difficulties, but the more we go through them, the easier that like layer of challenge or fear, it starts to go away. And then we keep raising our bar. But the bar is still always there, right?
Oh my gosh, Rhonda. And then there's challenges in business, and then there's challenges in life that you have to manage while running a business. So November 3rd, what year are we in? 2021. So 2020, I had a miscarriage. I was told I couldn't get pregnant. I got pregnant naturally and I had a miscarriage. November 3rd, I'll never forget it. We learned my father-in-law had cancer, and within an hour I was in the hospital having a miscarriage. And then I'm like, and it was a very full month on my plate for work. And like, I had some big clients, global clients, really important clients. I went to Google how to have a miscarriage and run a business, and I couldn't find anything. So I thought, okay, when I'm through this, I'll write an article about it. But like, you know, I had to figure it out.
Wow.
And I started talking publicly about my miscarriage, and people were reaching out to me. Thank you for sharing your story. Like, you know, I've had a couple miscarriages, but I haven't been able to find the words to express how I feel. And that's just who I am. And I don't expect anyone else to be as vulnerable as or open as I am. But when I do that, people see what I'm doing in my business world, and they see what I'm going through in my personal life. Like when I lost my mother, I was still showing up for some things. I cleared most of my plate, but there were certain things I showed up for because they fulfilled me. Yeah. Because a couple years ago when Shane had his heart attack, I decided I never want to be busy again. To me, busy is chaotic. It's chaos, it's toxic, and I don't want that in my life. Life is short, life is precious. And so I decided that everything I do needs to be fulfilling. Like I need to love what I do. I need to show up and love what I do. And so when my mom passed away, you know, I was in my mom's house, like trying to get her affairs in order. I still showed up for a few speaking engagements because they fulfilled me.
Yeah.
They fulfilled me. And like in the background, the organizers knew what was happening and they offered me not to. And I said, no, this brings me joy. I would like to do it because there's not a lot of joy right now. And you can build a life like that too. Like we all have that ability, but not all of us have been given the gift to see the entrepreneurial opportunities. And so, you know, I try things out, teach people how to do them, let them know what works, let them know what doesn't.
Well, I mean, that's the beauty of it. And this is why, you know, people are looking for this type of guidance, especially right now in the world. Like we're looking for guidance. And this is the type of people I want to follow on social media, right? Those that are actually showing the path and showing the way, because, you know, it's true. Many have lost their way and they're sort of giving up, if you will. And this numbingness that comes out of social media that is so surface has got to end. And so what would you say then your best, you know, like maybe your best tips when it comes to social media? I know you talk about a lot about these empowerment pillars. What are those and how can people follow that?
Okay, so I think social media is the perfect place to build yourself up as a thought leader. You want to be seen as a thought leader in your industry. You want to be that person that Forbes reaches out to or features, that person that clients drop in. You don't have to go searching for clients. They search for you. Yeah. You want to be that person. And social media is the perfect place to build that authority, to be that thought leader. It is not the be all to end all, but it is a very important place to do that. And so I created the social media empowerment pillars. And these are the 7 elements that need to be a part of your strategy so that you are that thought leader. So you are that authority in your industry and you make that money and you are the well-known person that everyone looks up to. So do you want to know the 7 pillars?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
They spell out the word. This is where it gets funny. I'm always like, what is the next letter? They spell out the word empower. And so I say pillars because there's not a specific order you need to do them. But to remember what they are, I use the word empower. So the first E is edutain. Content is a really important part of your strategy. You're never talking at people. You're talking to people. And the best way for information to stick is by making an impression. And what better than making people feel good and laugh? And, you know, we are so inundated with so much negativity around us that like if you can provide a smile or a chuckle, they're going to remember you. So edutain, content is such an important part of your strategy, what you're posting, where, when, how, why. M is for money. There's two components to money. One, how much do you want to make? Because how much you want to make is going to impact what you create on social media, right? Yes. And then also you have to have a budget. You have to advertise on social media if you want people to know who you are who don't already know who you are. Social media is pay for play. So we got EMP, personas. Who is the person that spends the most amount of money with you, that is the easiest client to work with, that you love, that you wish you can duplicate? Create more content for that person so you attract more people like them. Okay. O is for other players. I believe in collaboration over competition. If someone's not spending money with you, who are they spending money with? Know what those people are doing on social media. Know what they're doing outside the world of social media, and maybe there's a potential collaboration or partnership with them. Maybe there's potential to see where there's opportunity for you, where they aren't. W is for the win. Wins. This is a publicity piece. You should have a publicity PR strategy as part of your overall social media strategy. Public relations is the planned effort to influence public opinion through responsible action supported by two-way communication. Publicity is being mentioned in the media. What are you doing outside of social media that's going to draw attention to you? And then you're going to peacock. You're going to share it on social media. You're going to share your wins, little wins. You landed a client, or that's a big win, but you landed a meeting, you landed a client, you got this feature. You're going to share your wins because people need to know what you're capable of. It's not a brag. It's a celebration. Let's celebrate, because if I don't know what you're up to and what you're capable of, I can't support you and I can't tell other people. Okay? E, the second E, I have to spell it out in my head. The second E is for engagement. Engagement is such a big part of strategy. You can't just post and ghost. You need to have an engagement strategy. Be strategic about when you engage and where, liking, commenting, following, etc. It needs to be a part of your strategy. It's something that a lot of people leave out, but it's a really big element to anything you do on social media. And the last pillar is R, realistic goals. What are your goals? How do you know what you're working towards if you don't have, an end in sight or a dangling carrot? I recommend setting personal, professional, and health goals. If you know your goal is to travel to, go on 3 big trips a year, that's going to impact your money goal. That's going to impact what you sell. It's going to impact what you talk about on social media. They all work cohesively together. What are your health goals? Maybe it's to buy a Peloton and ride it every day. Maybe it's to do yoga in the park. Maybe it is to run a marathon on every continent. I don't really know. But again, those goals are going to impact everything else you do. So that's the empowerment pillars.
I love it. Wow. That's awesome. I'm like, oh my gosh, my mind is I was going through the letters with you, but that's really powerful stuff. I mean, and this is it's not rocket science. You just actually have to take action and be resilient in all the things that are coming forward in your life, in your business, and what's happening in your environment as well. And this is why I just love this, not only resilience project, Blair, because it comes from so much pain that you've now turned it into this, this passion and a way for you to truly create purpose in your life, but to be an example to others. And for that, I always love your energy. I love just being in your space because you elevate my frequency as well and everyone you're around. So where can everyone find the book? Because I know it's out. You're talking about it quite a bit now, but where can they get the book from? And how do they follow you?
Yeah. Head to iamresilient.info. So the book is called The Resilience Project is the name of the book. You can buy it on Amazon, but you want to know everywhere you can get it, head to iamresilient.info. You can also see we didn't put every story in the book, so you can see other stories there. And if you want to contribute, there's no cost. You can just submit your story. I believe every story deserves to get told. In the I Am Resilient community believes every story deserves to get told. So we've created a safe space for you to share your story. So you can submit your story on the website as well.
I love it. Thank you, Blair, so much for being you and to being that guiding light. And I tell you, one of the edutainment, You did the video the other day of you rolling around the bed in your shiny dress in Vegas. And I was like, there she goes. There's that edutainment. I was walking through everything that you do. I was like, yep, she totally does every one of the 7 pillars.
I fell off the bed. Like, it's funny. I was trying to like make a different reel and I rolled and I fell off the bed and I was like, well, that's hilarious. That's on camera. And I was like, I don't know if I should share that. And I was like, no, I should share that.
Definitely. It was awesome. I love it. You're amazing. So thank you again, Blair. I'm excited to have you in the book and have you on the next summit, the next live events. Like, we are going to rock it in 2022 and truly bring this message out to the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So think about it now. How is your resilience level? Like, how are you withholding these things that are happening in your life? How are you elevating yourself and strengthening your resilience muscle? This is what we need to do in this new earth. This is how we can be a bigger and better example to ourselves, to our communities, to our children. Your resilience is what creates and gives you that strength to move forward with purpose. So thank you everyone for being here for this episode with Blair Kaplan Venables. Make sure you go watch Blair. Remember, she's actually going to be one of the authors in the upcoming book. And if you would like to be an author in the next book coming out in October of 2022, which is the Intuition book, you can make sure you fill out an application and we'll see if you are ready to be part of the next big movement. All right, everyone, have a great one. Don't forget to be unstoppable and stay wild. See you next time.